So we got the countdown going. Theoretically. Yep, there it goes. Just went live. Someone's alert just went off that we just went live. Yeah, are y'all on daylight savings yet? All right. And hi, folks. We are live with almost the whole gang here. Our good friend Celia, Tree Hugging Druid, is working today and then off on a cruise for 1 year anniversary things. So we wish her all the best. But the rest of the gang is here, and totally is not evil bird versus plane at all from another dimension. But we'll get there in a moment. Let's start with Dragons Are Cats, who's making very odd hand motions. Or missing his cue or something. I don't know what's going on there.
He's playing with a kitten.
Yes, he's playing with the kitten. So, Dragons Are Cats.
Dragon,
hi.
sorry, dragon.
Hello, I am Dragons Are Cats, and I am playing Vidar Lycrum, and I'm trying to stop my kitten from eating my 8 key. She just has something about the 8 key that she loves. Hexblade Warlock, Pact of the Soul Forged, Eclipse. Love ya. Sense of don't. Good girl.
Next up, we have Templar Warden.
Hello, I am Templar 1. I am playing Hidden by Axel, the Tabaxi wizard who is not a lich. I swear.
Yes.
Yes, the Tabaxi wizard who has lots to discover once again. And people to pester with questions about magic. Oh, it's going to be good, right? It's going to be fine.
Everything's going to be fine. Next up, we have Bird versus Plane.
Hey folks, I am Beard vs. Plane, and I'll be playing Iskatol, the half-elf bard turned gunslinger. How does D&D again? I don't know. She just had her hand cut off and reattached. Everything is a lot all the time. That's me.
Next up, we have Energy 9.
Hello, lovelies. Have you missed me? I've missed you. I'm Energy 9, resident puntress, and I play Luna, watch nasty monk / cleric, who's not the biggest problem right now.
This is true. And last but not least, we have Good Guy Pie, all the way from somewhere.
I think I live in somewhere called England. Could be Scotland. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Wales.
Wales, probably Wales. Let's go with Wales on this one. We're in Wales today. Yes, I am Good Guy Pie. We'll be playing the Gold Hard Adventure Extraordinaire all the way from Elevation Pit, and oof, that was a boisterous one. Adventure Extraordinaire, and I'm like 20% of the problem. 15.
Anyway, I am Tall Squall. I'm your DM. I am 100% of the problem, and we are the Vice, the gang, the folks. episode 114, coming up on 3 years of doing this amazing thing, this campaign. We do this campaign 100% for charity. This month we are donating to Mental Health America, which is an amazing charity that we've supported multiple times before. They have lots of resources on their website, which you can go to by clicking on the actual words in the description down below. They are all about treating your mental health the same way that we treat our physical health, to self-diagnose, to give yourself sort of checkups, to use some of the tools on their website in order to kind of get a status of where you are, to help figure out more about you before it becomes a crisis. And so you can do that. Go to their website, or if you'd like to donate to us, you can click on the banner there, and it will let you purchase different things for our different players on the little shopping list there. And or you can just put money in and it goes into the spell bank, which currently, because of our subs from this month, which is pretty amazing, they have we added an extra $125 to the old to our total, and that gets doubled to go in the spell bank. So we now are at a level 7 spell that we need to roll for. Seems like my alerts are not working. That's interesting. Because that alert did not come up, and it's looking very weird on my Streamlabs. So I'm going to give that a reload to make sure that those are working while we are this. In the meantime, I need someone to roll for a level 7 spell. There's Bird's subscription coming through, so that's working fine, so that's good.
Evil Bird roll.
And we've got Hawkeye, who's given 500 bits. That's healing dice for everybody. Thank you so much. And who wants to roll for this 7th level spell?
I'll do it.
I need you to roll a D2 to start off with.
D2. Can do. Two.
So on a 2, let's see what the second page, how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a D5 for that second page of 7th level spells.
3. Right in the middle.
What? Oh, this is going to be interesting. This is a good one to have. You all might want to cash this. I know you all have been waiting. I know you all have been waiting for to try to get to that wish. But this could be very helpful. This is teleport.
Ooh.
Which is a extremely rare thing in our world.
But will it actually work is the thing.
In this case, I will say that it would work.
Okay.
So I mean, do read the
I believe teleport is dumbly powerful in terms of travel.
Yeah, I mean the trick is that you have there are it's a D100 roll for places you don't know, but if it's places that you do know, you are gonna land there. Feel free to use D&D Beyond players to see whether that's something you want to cash in on, or try to go for that old level 9.
Do we need to call now, or can we sit on this for a second?
You can sit on this for a second.
Okay.
I will. I'll say by the end of the session, even if we do get donations that bump us over the top, that we'll let it sit.
That works.
Teleport would be really handy to get a lot of places.
That would be very useful.
But
And it's
also,
the one teleport which could just not work.
Also, we could just have Axel scrap it into his book.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to wait for that.
I know.
Yeah, you could. There's a chance you could scribe it, but he's got to get to, what is it? I guess level 14 is 7 or 13.
I can't remember.
It's
13.
a high
Level
one.
13.
13.
Level 13.
Yes, 13.
I just had to level my players.
Anyway.
My players up to 13.
If there are no further announcements, then I think we will roll that intro and get this show on the road. Hey, folks. So we are back, and let's recall where we left off. Um, why did that stop? Oh, of course it stopped playing. Stand by. There we go. So last time on the Vice, after a pretty much all but horrific defeat by the ghost which had inhabited Cilia, with the help of Rianne and Nate, who are the Fatescape reincarnations of Nathaniel and Florian. We sort of pulled the party back together, got themselves back together. Got themselves literally back together, is in Iska's case, literally, and basically just tried to sort of catch up with what the heck had actually happened. So I am. Just give me 1 second. My audio is not playing for some reason. Are y'all hearing audio? You are hearing audio, and I am not. Interesting. Stand by.
Snake. Severus Snape. Severus Snape.
And no one out in the world is hearing audio either.
Severus Snape. Severus Snape.
She will sit up here happily.
Wait, y'all hear audio as well, but so y'all are hearing audio out there? No music.
But
Yeah,
they're hearing
you're not hearing any
voice, but
music.
No music.
Okay, so let me see what's going on here.
Bear with us, fam. We just have, OBS updates.
Let me just do the old. Yeah. Y'all can sing the whole time if you'd like.
Wrong notes. I went the wrong
I
way.
heard the music change.
Okay, so I heard the music change as well. So it's just this track for some
Yes,
reason
you are supposed to see snakes.
is buggy.
I mean, what snake?
What snake?
There is no snake.
There's no snake.
Exactly.
It's only headphones.
So
No.
we're not going to worry too
Yes.
much about this. We are just going to hop back into this. Let me just get.
Yeah, they're headphone accessories. It's fine.
We'll stick with this. I was hoping to play the music from last time, but we're not going to do that because it's not working. Anyway, so the party inside the magic mansion of Rian now tried to sort out what all had happened. Cilia has been resurrected through the magic of Iska. The party has regrouped back together. There are 3 assassins who had attacked them that are unaccounted for, but currently they seem to be safe. As they were catching up on fate and what had happened, or what could possibly had now created this different version of reality that they knew than the one they knew, where Florian is now known as Rian, and Balshirian had been killed in a battle early on in Losing the Sky, the battles of the Netherwings. The party were presented with an egg, a griffin egg, that Axel recognized as having a dragon rune on it, which had basically kept it in stasis, and also the marks of the Latuscian Isles that have been associated with Iska, and where fate has left clues and pieces of puzzles behind for her. So, as we left, Riley, who is basically a warforged, but we call them a runeborn here, born of the life rune, lent some of his power into the egg, and it hatched, and seemed to then become inhabited by the soul of the Balshirian who had died. That's where we're going to pick up. Not exactly as after it happened, we're going to tune in with Iska for a moment. Because what she experienced during this hatching of the new Balshirian was different than what everyone else did. As she looked on, she saw Riley reach out, touch the egg, and she then began to hear music. Iska, if you will roll me a performance check to see how much you're able to discern of this piece of music. On a 26, that's high enough. A couple things happen. One, you start to hear this song, and you recognize it. It is hauntingly familiar to the song that you played within that fatescape, that severed a thread in order for you to get out. But whereas when you played it, it was your first attempt at doing this, you were all but improving this song. This is rehearsed, measured. It is clear, concise, and all but perfect in its quality and performance. And as you see that feather sort of lift out from underneath of Rian's robes and start to drift towards this newly born, newly hatched griffin, you see a thread of fate that had been severed, that then reconnects into this griffin. This music you're hearing isn't just familiar, it is your song. And you are seeing a thread that had been severed be rewoven into the tapestry of fate. We then catch up with real time as Balshirian looks up, and this tiny little griffin with a very old, deep voice states out to everyone, "Well, that was interesting." And sort of then gives a little cheep and looks around.
Yeah, that was interesting. Souls do weird things. I mean, I've tried to understand them, but I'm still confused sometimes. Just
You see Rian just now holding this griffin, and his face has a sort of placid joy to it. His eyes seem moist, but no tears actually fall. But he seems a bit overwhelmed.
I think you're gonna have to find a new name for your horse.
He sort of clears his throat. Apparently so. I don't even pretend to understand what's just happened. You are a unique group, aren't you?
seems to be the case. Yes, I think that's probably not a bad description. I haven't yet encountered anyone like any of these folks.
Forward any complaints to our local manager.
Points to Luna.
Look over to Luna. Well, not ours. Like the one who manages Vidar is Celia. One who manages Luck. Yeah, it falls apart
range.
really quick.
Well, you all look terrible, frankly. Perhaps some rest is in order. There are, he sort of closes his eyes, rooms for everyone, as you need them. And he sort of points back over the hearth. Behind the hearth, you see where there wasn't before now seems to be an archway and to a hallway, as the mansion has adapted itself to your needs.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, so did we... So next where are we going? Down south? Then? Is that the plan after this? Or are we going to talk about that later? I mean, we can... Time is kind of useful at this point.
Time is very useful at this point. I would love.
We can, I mean, it's like we can discuss it now and then go in the morning, or we can go in the morning after discussing it. It's just morning, I don't know, after we've had rest. Just been moving around too much. It's very hard to sit still.
I think today's been enough for my brain. I'm gonna go freshen up and fall asleep for like 25 hours, if that's okay.
Fair call. Fair call.
Just wake me for breakfast, please.
After everything's happened, yeah.
Yeah, Iska's gonna go. I mean, hopefully it's. You know, they said that like we had tea last time, so there's a kettle at least somewhere, right?
Oh, yes.
I want to just find
Excellent.
like a bedroom with
kettle.
like a basin and just like take some hot water, just soak my hands, man. Like I just had this sucker cut off and reattached. Like it just kind of needs to
Yeah, feel.
feel good again. So Iska's gonna wander.
Yep. As you enter the rooms, it is almost as though it is made itself to your purpose. And you do find a small hearth that has a basin and a kettle hanging in it that you can swing out over the fire. And, again, not a huge hearth, just a small, almost like a cooking stove type idea. And it's very homey, this cabin. It is, made out of sort of rough-hewn logs, and there's not a whole lot of decor on it, but the beds are soft and comfortable. There's places to store stow your belongings, and a chair to sit by the fire if you would want. And Luna would find that there's a bathtub in hers. So pretty much it seems as though all but your each need has been anticipated, or as you think of it, seems to appear for you within this space. So what are Axel, Vidar, Luck? Luna, are you heading to the bath?
Yep.
I figured. What are Vidar, Axel, and Luck up to?
Well, Vidar's just going to first take care of Celia for a moment. Put her down to rest.
She's almost in almost like a zombie state. Resurrection is not easy on the body, and she is something that she rarely allows someone to do. She's allowing herself to be led and pretty much tucked in and put to bed.
I pat her on the head and say that I remember when Ishkrun was regrowing his limbs in that ring. Oh, good times. Probably feel as how you feel now. Sleep. Yeah, and then once she's taken care of, then I'll head out and
Okay.
go to a common area. That could take a while.
Axel, you see, while there's definitely a bond happening between Rian and Balshirian, this baby griffin, Riley, like most any young kid, is can't help but sort of be just drawn towards this small griffin that at this point is, I mean, kitten-sized, even smaller, maybe large guinea pig.
Small. I think he'll sort of just watch only, then sort of just put a hand on Riley's shoulder. Reach up there. Well done, Riley.
It just seemed like what was supposed to happen or needed to be done.
Yeah,
I mean, he was hungry.
exactly. You've got good senses. Made the right decision.
Thanks, Dad.
Give Riley a hug.
He gives you again, you are now, yeah, you just, I mean, he doesn't hurt you, but I mean, you are, as he hugs you, it's like you're like at his clavicle now, as he is, he's grown quite a bit. As he is a juggernaut,
Yeah.
rune forged.
Right. That's a lot going on today. How are you doing, Luck? More alcohol?
No, more alcohol. I am
Right.
too much all in one day.
You notice that where there hadn't been before, there seemed to be almost like a wet bar across across the wall from you, with like 5 different taps.
Well, see you in the morning. He gets up and walks off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just keep an eye on him. So just like Rihanna and Beltran seem in their own little world, and Riley might not be involved in that.
Nate has sort of he doesn't seem to be a man of many words. He has sort of excuses himself and heads outside to go take care of the horses, make sure they're all, because they had been ready to go for riding, so get their tack off and saddles and get them brushed as they. It seems like while the servants of the mansion could do it, that it seems to be something that he likes to take on himself, taking specific care with Balshirian, or soon to be Balshirian too, or
Shirion.
Sherry.
Okay. But but it doesn't look like does it look like Riley, if he wanted to, be involved, would be in the way of Rian and Balshirian? Or?
Not all. Rian, there is a sort of an openness about Rian with Riley and Balshirian, and you can see as Balshirian, the griffin, sort of is up on the table, that he's sort of taking turns as they sort of roll a ball back and forth across the table, and Balshirian chases it. And you can see Balshirian first goes, "Are you serious? You really want me to?" And then he goes and chases it. Can't help himself. So there's this competitive, kitten-like instinct that the soul within is trying to have some poise and dignity about, but just can't quite seem to help himself when it comes down to a ball of yarn or a rolling ball or something to pounce upon.
Yeah, so I think Axel just let him Riley enjoy himself with, it's a baby griffin. Have a good time. He'll go just grab a drink from bar and nurse it a bit, keep an eye on luck. But seeing all this, he's got another actual idea, which is a terrible thing. So he's going to get out his notebook and start working on some diagrams.
Okay.
For something to be done over the long trip.
Very good. Do me a favor. Roll me an Arcana check. On an 18, you start to, as you're drinking your beer and you're kind of thinking about how it's magically cold, and that you're enjoying it, you're starting to, the back of your brain is beginning to work on something, and you can't quite put your finger on it, but there is you kind of can acknowledge that the wheels are clicking in the background.
All right.
Anyone else wanting to do anything before the end of before turning in officially for the night?
I think at that point, Vidal will come into the room once. Like the door opens and he's just about to take off his trench coat. As he does so, he just looks to the side and there's a big brass tray. He goes, "Oh." Takes off and then puts it up. See? Andy.
Have you made a decision about your finger?
Yeah, it's gone. It's too far apart.
Okay.
Too far apart for too long.
Yeah.
So,
Fun.
What are ramifications that has? So it's just like, well, this is going to be interesting to relearn, but I think I might make that my focus.
So yeah, do me a Arcana check as you start to learn 9-finger somatics.
On an 11.
On an 11, most everyone will notice at breakfast tomorrow morning that your eyebrows are singed, but are nice enough not to comment. Maybe Luna does. We'll see. Speaking of, so Luna, we'll move over to you. You go into the room. There is a lovely, huge, deep tub filled with water. And anything else you might need. How do you spend your evening?
I do, regular repairs, St. Cuthbert. Been enough fighting for today, so I don't feel the need to do practice to cool down. But yeah, just do that and then go to bed essentially.
Okay. You do notice that there are some repairs that are going to be needed to your outfit that you were wearing. So as something that you can use your needle and thread and tailoring skills to make those either over the next course of days. There's unfortunately quite a few dagger slashes in there to deal with.
So yes, I should work on that over the course of days.
So Luck getting well and truly drunk after through the evening, even with his large form and tolerance of a 45-year-old drinker, even though he only looks 22. Stumbles, I assume, off to bed, or do you sleep out on the table?
On the table, he's going until he can't stand.
Okay. So morning does come around, and as those of you who are early risers wander out, Luna, you would find Luck seems to have crawled on top of the table at some point during his slumber and is basically just lied out. Roll me a D100 to see whether you're face up or face down.
Axel would probably just put a pillow under his head and then blanket over it.
Okay, so you actually
I wouldn't have just left him there. I probably could have got him Riley to carry him back, but Riley's already gone to bed. Well, not really.
Yeah.
But.
So you face up. You a pillow has from a couch. Sort of a small throw pillow under your head. A small Afghan, feet hanging out, boots on the floor. Feet just big old like size 16 feet up on the on the table as everyone comes wandering out, or whoever our early risers come wandering out. Riley, as not needing to sleep, seems to spend the evening with Balshirian until over in the corner you can see his form sort of just leaned over in the corner. There is a blanket in his lap and obviously a something beneath the blanket that has fallen asleep in Riley's lap, assumedly Balshirian. Who would be our first riser? Probably Luna, yeah?
Probably.
So yeah, Luna, you come out to this this site. You see Riley kind of as you come in looks up. It's like,
Mm-hmm. She'll put fingers up to the lip. Like she glances at Luck and then just kind of keeps moving. Like, not my business. Whatever.
Yeah. You can certainly make your way in the kitchen or outside. There is the the yard that is technically inside the mansion if you want to do your morning.
She'd probably go outside. And considering, the fight they just had with the assassin, she's probably going to practice for a bit longer than usual.
Okay.
They got the drop, and that's not good.
Do me like 3 attack rolls, just so we can do your training. There is some stiffness, of course, after the wounds that you took and healed. They do take a little bit, and you feel it. Then things get better. But yeah, no, that your first 30 minutes or so, there is describe a little bit about how that is for Luna.
Sure. So I imagine that, in that first 30 minutes where it's just clear she's just out of form. She feels the aches everywhere, and just trying to go all the adrenaline has worn off, and it's like, oh, I actually feel all this pain now, and that's inconvenient. So she probably, like her usual, make an ice block and punch it. She probably misses for quite a bit eventually before she gets back in the rhythm of it.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Who would be our next riser? I know, Vidar, you only need 4 hours of sleep. Would you be up and around or staying with Basilia?
I think by the time he would have got some sleep and then woke back up, he'd be like, once he knows that she's still sleeping after his rest, he's like, cool, I'm gonna wander around and stretch. So yeah, he'd be up and probably in a more, of course he's apparated himself a wonderful comfortable nightgown and he's looking very nice. He's had a very long hot bath. He comes out steaming.
You come out to Riley again, sort of gives you shh, and he sort of points down to the sleeping Griffin and sleeping Luck, both covered in a blanket.
There's nothing more adorable than that.
Gotta fix your definition of adorable.
Yeah, there's a distinct difference.
Very large, unbathed, drunk miner on the dining room table.
It's Vidar.
That's true too.
Works.
It does work.
That's adorable. He slept out here. Well, I mean, probably it's his only favorite place to sleep. He's gonna be sore in the morning. And I'm just going to more than likely hear Luna fighting or training.
She's pretty quiet being a monk, but yeah, I mean, if you looked out, you would see her. You know her routine by this point.
Yeah, I think I just go watch. bring an extra cup. Get a kettle going.
Okay.
Bring it on out. Tea on the side. Just watch.
Iska, you would awaken to the smell of tea wafting through the air. Probably Axel as well, as you both are tea connoisseurs.
Sure. Very lazily slinking out of the bedroom that was created for her. It's like pretty clear, as someone who's been dealing with this a lot, someone who got a full night of sleep but didn't sleep well still. There's just so much going on. It's hard to process it all. And I think she walks out, a little bit bags in the eyes, definitely still like spinning her wrist a little bit, just stretching it out. Doesn't feel quite right yet. It feels much better having just been previously lopped off, but it's still something that's given her some pause. And she will just very groggily make her way to the table and probably sit down at it before realizing that she's like staring directly at Luck's snoozing body. But then just kind of no, this makes sense.
There's room to put a teacup.
Perfect. Yes, little gap between like his arm and his body, just. And then she'll kind of move it a little bit so it keeps the tea warm out from his body heat.
Luck, tea cozy, sure. Axel,
We could put a doily on his head.
Yep. Yeah, Axel will have a reasonable night's rest. For that, pretty decent night's rest actually.
Nice.
He wakes up with an idea on the mind. Tea. Sort of heads up, looks out, goes back, gets dressed, climbs out the window and down the side of the house. It's like, just do that, because why not? I want some climbing. So I just clamber down, head over, plop himself down next to Vidar. Is this something I could share? Tea?
Come on in.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So, Vidar, there's an idea I have. Don't know if it should work, and it shouldn't explode. No, it's not going to explode because it's worked before.
About that
little
time, you
puppy.
noticed that Vidar's eyebrows are singed.
I didn't hear anything.
I'm getting better.
Saying it loud enough that presumably Luna might also hear. Just, like Riley, did you see Riley and Bashirin earlier? It was kind of cute. Just wondering. Rune forged puppy.
Another pet? Y'all want another pet?
No.
Now we can make it happen, but is it going to be like a copy and paste of Grain? Is it going to be more of a wolf dog?
I
What are we
mean,
going for?
it wouldn't be a rune born, unless something. I don't know. It's just an idea I have, and I need to get it out there and talk about it. And maybe it's a bad idea, maybe it's a good idea.
No,
Actually, yeah. Do you like the idea?
I like the idea
Okay, it's a bad idea.
of a rune-forged warhorse for him to ride in. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the materials. It has to be something small for my runes to actually catch.
Well, that's the thing. We'll make it small at first, but then we'll make it grow like Riley.
That was a unique occasion. I don't know if it's repeatable. I mean, at the very least, like some sort of attack dog sort of thing for combat situations where I use the rune for combat. Like, because, I mean, that would just sort of... my first time, I beat Riley. I don't I want to maybe hold back a little bit, make it a bit more of a automation or a golem sort of thing. Less of a
Sentient.
yeah,
Hmm.
but some sort of attack dog or something maybe. It's got I don't know, or maybe just a puppy for. I don't. It's just an idea, and I've needed to share it because it was on my mind all night and yesterday. So yeah. Yeah, probably not. You think it's a good idea? Probably not.
No. Definitely a good idea. Definitely a good idea.
I'll see what other people think. Tea. Okay. Yeah, got that off my chest. Now I can just relax.
Luna, puppy or not?
Luna's training. She ignores you.
Yeah, no. He's not expecting her to say anything until she wants to. He's just like, now she knows.
Yeah, he
If
made sure
cares
she
enough-
heard, but knows that. Yeah.
Mhm.
If she cares enough, she'll do something.
She sure is training. So hard to hear over the sound of air.
Yeah. So, because monk training is so loud when you're doing that shadow boxing.
It's super loud. Like I mean, you hear like that one leaf on the wind. It's super loud.
Grass crunching, the worst.
See, at that, Vidal's going to turn and go, see? She agrees. It's a good idea. And then just smirks.
Sploosh.
How's your reflex?
Dexterity
Dex save.
Dexterity saving throw.
Pretty good.
Do me a. I guess we'll do contested dexterity. So do a dexterity save on your side.
Sure.
See,
Okay. I rolled really bad.
yeah.
Water goes past your head.
Yeah. You're not sure whether it was on purpose or not that it was basically a warning shot.
I mean, I'm happy to train. If you want a partner. She's going to kill me later tonight. Trust me. I'm dead.
Yeah.
If not her, she's going to tell Celia, and then Celia's going to kill me.
All
Even
possibilities.
I mean, yeah, they say it's like that's not unusual.
It's just another day.
Buddha like finishes off the last move she's doing, sighs. You're not leaving, are you? Turns to them.
I mean, we're having tea and having a discussion. I mean, if you want, we can leave.
Would you like tea?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I do not mind the presence. The talking is distracting.
How about this for a distraction? What are we going to do about our allies our friends in Sojourns?
What do you mean?
The assassins.
Well, not them. No, I was thinking more on Gendry and Sky. Wonderful, wonderful people. We should just make them aware of what's going on.
They are.
We didn't. Huh. Well then, that's good.
Yeah, they're not gonna go off on any crazy schemes or anything, and they're reasonably safe in Sojourns from what I know. He does have a pointed look to Luna, like, they're not going off crazy schemes, right?
She just kind of raises an eyebrow.
Yeah, so hope they're safe. There's a lot of people, family around for them.
And I think
We
going
kinda
back
already
to
said
them
goodbye to a lot
at
of
this
people.
point, going back to them at this point would just put them in further danger. Anyone we go to back in Sojourns now, if those assassins are still there, and they see we have established connections,
They have been born. They are also capable of taking care of themselves.
And I can always send people a message if we need to.
Hold people's hands forever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's good.
Rihanna, about this point, comes out as he's from where his bedroom is. And,
So I know you said Rihanna.
Yeah.
And then the was a thing, but we said Rihanna. I'm just like, guest star, hell yeah!
Rihanna comes out. No. Hey, the house gives you what you need.
Sorry, continue.
So Rihanna.
Shit, I'm the second best bard now.
Yeah. Oh man.
Work.
Work.
You gotta work.
We'll use that as our montage music.
Oh god.
Rihanna.
Clean up on the fourth wall, please.
Rihanna comes out, and you see him disappear to the kitchen. He comes out with a mug, and you all can smell coffee in a large mug, and he has a sort of an oversized banquet plate of bacon and sort of like scones, English muffin type ideas, which he just comes over. He sits down at the table, lays the banquet plate like literally right on the middle of Luck's stomach, just using him as a table because that seems to be what everyone is doing. Luck, roll me a Constitution saving throw to see whether you wake up. Of course, because it's drinking. Because it's drinking.
The only time I ever make con saving throws.
You wake up, which actually is quite pleasant. You wake up to the smell of coffee, tea, and there's a large plate of bacon and English muffin type ideas, literally sitting right on the middle of your stomach as you sort of wake up, lying in the middle of the table. Your friends are kind of around chatting.
Grabs a muffin, grabs a cup of coffee.
Did you get off the table?
No. He's just gonna lay there and do it.
There you go.
If you stay on the table, you imagine you will slowly start to feel yourself slide as the table ices over. A slight push.
It starts getting colder and colder. And finally, kathump.
Morning.
Do me a dexterity save to see if you save your coffee and
That's all that matters here.
That's all that
Smashing it
matters.
against the table
On
as
a
you go down.
15, you manage to a little bit of a slosh, but nothing major. You save the coffee.
Like he's on his back, but it's just like hold up in the air.
About that time, you see Rian go over to Riley and say good morning, and sort of you see Riley look up a little bit sheepishly, and as he pulls the blanket from Balshirian. Balshirian's about the size of a puppy now.
Yep.
Riley just kind of looks at him. Rian's just sort of like, it normally takes a griffin 8 or 9 years to reach full size. Is this...
So, any preconceived concept of time or reality or concrete facts, when you're kind of around us, I'm just going to need you to take those and just pack them away for a while. Just for a while.
He's imbued with life magic. Can't help but share it.
You also can see where, as I said, it's a magical cabin, so never mind. So none of the logs started to grow leaves back because for a second I was like, let's really nail this home, but no, it's a magical cabin. But Balshirian sort of gets up and kind of stretches and sort of looks and goes, "Is that bacon I smell?" And you see him with flaps of these. He kind of is like a puppy whose feet are too big. He has these really oversized wings now, and with a floop, floop, does a flap and flies over to the table.
Now I just imagine him being like the cat that jumps on your chest with like, if Luck was still lying there, just lying there, come on!
He just missed by that far being able to flop down. Riley just sort of looks up and goes, he just kind of curled up with me, and I didn't want to, he was sitting on my lap, and I didn't want to disturb him, and, as you do with something, animal that curls up on your lap.
Yep.
And
that you can't move. That is the rule
it
of
is the
law.
rule.
You cannot move.
So I don't think it hurt him or anything, and
He doesn't seem to mind.
Rian just sort of grabs him by the shoulder and just like looks over to Iska and looks back at Riley and goes, I've got my concerns all packed away for right now. And he's, what? Well, it looks like he looks to Riley and gives him a smile. Goes, apparently we've got a griffin to train. And Riley just, biggest smile crosses his face. And they come over to the table.
And it's not like you're gonna have to sort of, it's not like he's gonna have to learn to do anything, he's full-grown Roshirin in there. So, he's just growing into his soul, right?
That's a good way to put it. Is pretty much exactly what's happening. I mean,
Say, they're a bit big. Oh, you'll grow into it.
Pretty much.
Yep. Okay. I'll hear with bacon and tea.
Should we throw a cat onto Luck?
What?
Should we throw a cat onto Luck?
What? Why? Just leave him on the floor. He's fine there, right?
Yeah.
You're fine there, right, Luck?
Yeah, he's out of it.
He's not even hungover. He's
Yeah, that's the thing. He's like, he's not even hungover, which is the remarkable part.
He's just enjoying coffee laying on the floor.
I mean, there's a nice fire in the hearth. It's pretty cozy. There's a throw rug, one of those, braided things, but it's kind of elven braid, so it's very fancy. But
I'm just
soft
gonna
and nice.
I'm just gonna put my hand out and go, okay, come on out, and release the cat from the ring.
Yeah, you see this large sort of bobcat sort of come out, and very normal, aloof piece sort of looks around with everyone in kind of disdain. And
Don't give us that. You can go sit by the fire. Rude.
it sort of looks at you like, well, then you could have let me out by the fire, now couldn't you have? And seems to be very put out that they have to walk the 15 steps. I mean, the 15 steps to go over to then go curl up over by the fire.
Life is hard, yo.
Life is hard for this cat. I don't know what it's been through. What's this cat done? Yeah, I'm just going to turn to Rian and say, the hibernation thing.
He sort of takes a closer look at it and goes, like the crystals for the vice.
Oh, my friend, yes. I'm just going to hand it to him and just eye him.
You see him do a few motions to do a identify spell, and you see him look questioning as though it's been thwarted. And Axel, you will notice a divination, a higher level divination spell that he begins to cast. And then his eyes do light up as he seems to have some understanding of what this ring actually is.
So those crystals used to all be a part of a ring just like this. No big deal.
It's
A couple are
fascinating.
broken. Truly.
You wear this on your finger. I'm no surprised that you've only lost one.
Sometimes put it in my sword.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
If we're heading to the conclave, you're not going to want this displayed openly.
No.
Too many people would know what it is, or
Yeah.
be able to discern.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I mean, it was the time that we went from east to west, and actually you didn't hide it in your sword back then, from what I recall.
We also went through the device. It was a great time for it.
Well,
I mean,
certainly
You
saves
tried to
some
steal one
cost.
from.
remember that?
Yeah.
That time I stole one from the
Yeah, you idiot.
from the vice runners. Yeah.
Technically it was
Times.
Erskine, but details.
Technically.
Rian, I can't help but notice that this is far beyond what the Mystica would allow.
Well,
In general, you know,
I-
how they dealt with magic.
they've cracked down on all magics beyond, but I wasn't one of their members. The Sky Mages were in alliance with the Arcana Mystica before the Netherwings, and so I learned my magic and had no restrictions on the levels of which that I had access to.
And I mean, now you're kind of independent and they just don't notice. Or you gotta be careful about it.
There you have it. You will notice it was lower level spells cast at high level that I used out in the open.
Mm.
Magically
Yeah, I'm
speaking.
kind of aware of that one, yeah. Well, I know this is a lot to ask. Could you teach me something? Anything? I mean, I've reached sort of the point where I don't have access to the information. Well, I have some access to the information that I've gotten rid of, and then I'm sort of gone, hit a wall. I want to know more, sort of
Well.
thing, and all that. Long story. Ramble.
I understand. There's quite a few. Not as many as there used to be. As you say, independent magic users who have found themselves in a drought, so to speak, of spells, since they are guarded most zealously by the Arcana Mystica. But there are some, we'll have to work on it, but there are some that I could teach you. Perhaps, I know there's probably an innate talent involved with your runes, but perhaps some of the simpler ones you could show me.
I could try. I've been told, it's bound specifically to each person, and the way you learn them. I don't know how much you can. I don't know how much is innate talent, how much is learned when it comes down to it. But I can try, certainly.
Well, we'll experiment, I guess.
Yeah, that's good fun stuff. Yeah. Actually, quick question in general. Where does your power, your learning lie with when it comes to magic? Because Father taught me divination to focus on, and then I sort of went on my own track, and it's all like a hodgepodge from there. But what's yours?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. As a Sky Mage, most of our skill was honed for battle. So much of my skill relates directly to the more offensive uses of magic. Evocation is where my main
School
lies. However, Sky Mages are of a specific training, so to speak, into the magics of war.
Okay.
So, a bit of a different twist on some of ours
Yeah,
to
it's-
use our skills to deflect other magics and harm, and to be able to maintain spells that normally are more difficult to maintain.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, I would, again, while we're on the road, I would like to learn what more. I mean, if you're, of course, willing to share, and, you know, but I like learning things. Yeah.
Well, we have a bit of a journey because I wasn't exactly positive I'd be headed to the Conclave, but with the information that you've given me, and it seems as though he looks to Riley, have a partner in becoming a Griffin Rider once again. So,
And down there is Madame Mims as well.
which certainly might have answers to questions of all of your purpose.
Oh, I owe her an apology.
Axel has something entirely different in mind there.
Mim is a mysterious one, that is for sure.
Certainly. We had an interesting encounter with her before.
Yeah, in fact, I'm
Yeah.
sure she found you fascinating.
That one in particular. Points of Vidar.
Yes.
Yeah, we used to. Yeah, I owe her a big apology.
She's going to find your son quite interesting as well.
Yeah, that would be. Well, everyone who has the kind of idea of magic finds him interesting, which worries me a bit.
Perhaps a way to disguise him. Most of those are detectable. Simple spells. I've heard of artifacts that had ways to truly obscure an identity, but not just standard magic, and usually there is a time limit to that.
I know there's a spell that helps, like, disguise things, but it's not, like, illusionary. Well, it might be illusionary, but it doesn't do physical hiding. It just removes the magical aura, and I know that one. I know it exists. I haven't actually
Right.
figured it out yet.
Yes,
Um,
there
but-
are many ways to keep prying eyes of magic away.
Yes. Certainly those things I've needed to have picked up on over the time we've been running, because picked up a few people who probably are pit pry in a bit. Yep. So did we mention our other plan before we reach the conclave? We have a personal task to deal with beforehand.
Well, I'm not sure if I could accompany you on your personal task, but until our paths part, and perhaps we will travel together, and then I could meet you again at the conclave.
Yeah, that works.
I feel as though I have some pressing business with people who are probably marked, just as you were, by the Obsidian Order now.
Is it safe to say that in here?
In here, yes.
Okay.
We are not on the normal planes of existence here.
Oh. That's neat.
Like a little sphere within a sphere within a sphere.
It's quite convenient, as the Archmistress herself could not pierce this veil. Just the laws of magic. It's not 100%, but for the most part, there are very few items of enough power that they could transmit through the planes, through the dimensions. But there are listening devices that will record and then transmit once they return to the plane. So it's worth being careful.
Yeah, that reminds me. Yeah. Well. Okay.
Well,
I'm done.
it is morning, and if we are planning on traveling, and it probably makes sense to get on the road and get moving. We do need to probably take some care to do whatever we can to disguise ourselves. There are 3 assassins out there, as you've said, that are unaccounted for, and many more eyes and ears who would sell a distinctive group like ourselves for coin. And there's no getting around that the road will be crowded. We can stay out of sight. I know the path down to High Mount well, so we don't necessarily have to be on the road. We could stay adjacent to it, but it will slow us down a little bit. But it will keep us out of sight. There will be others who will be doing the same as us, staying out of the crowds, but they probably could be taken care of. Or I do have a bit of skill in helping people forget what they've seen. He gives a smile.
I have a means of traveling faster. The issue is, of course, it needs a bit of clear space without people or obstacles. Otherwise, you end up inside one of them.
Well, we have...
Don't know if that's an option either way.
At least a week of dragging us, going across the plains before we'll start getting into the Dulcimer Riverlands. Ending up in water or mire or trees might be an issue there, but certainly for the next 4 or 5 days, it is much as what you've traveled with before, grasslands with trees interspersed quite sparsely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I can speed up that trip with runes. I mean, it's kind of notable. It will certainly stand out if anyone actually spots us, since you go faster and things. Your time twists a little bit, dilates somewhat. To get this
Rian
go
looks
faster.
over to Iska again, just sort of with a.
You'll see when I show.
Yeah.
You'll see when I show you. Dragon runes, they really mess with concepts of magic as I understood it beforehand, and now it's all, well, I'll give everything a try.
Look, to be honest, that's what they're for. They're the bastions of magic and a lot of great cosmic details. Don't worry, you'll be. Yeah.
Rian looks over to Luck and goes, I'm going to be joining you in lots of drinking, I think.
You quickly understand my position now, don't you?
I trained in the intricacies and the fact that magic was not malleable for over 150 years. And now it's just kind of, well, yes, we will be.
I trained in digging rocks for 30 years.
Just wait till I tell you about Eladrin culture.
You want to know about spheres? You want to know about them? He'll tell you. He'll tell you it all.
But Neverwings now.
Now that we could have a chat about.
Please.
Yes, we can talk about that. I agree.
So
I want to
Rian,
bring one down to the ground.
Rian is like, well, I guess we should get packing. You'll need to take all your belongings with you, or else they will end up on the ground sitting around here once we're gone. And we can load up the horses. Any preparations you might want to make for disguising yourselves or anything. About that time, you do see Celia come out. She looks pretty rough. She comes over and grabs a coffee and some bacon, and offers her disguise kit for anyone. She can help somewhat with that. There's other magics and things that people can use, so there are different pieces. But as you all start to gather yourselves together and get ready to leave, we're going to take our break real quick, as we're going to do sort of a montage of this next travel bit. And before we get into that, we are going to turn things over to NNG9 to tell us a bit more our charity. Good Guy Pie has a charity that he can tell us about as well, that he participated in this week. And we will be back for Pun of the Week in just a few minutes. I turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Jay. Hello, everyone. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. This channel is run 100% for charity, and the charities change every 2 months or so. This month's charity being Mental Health America, which is dedicated to early diagnosis of different mental afflictions of any kind. They have lots of good resources for those directly affected or loved ones. You can click, if you want more information about what they specifically do, please click on the purple lettering in the description below. It'll take you directly to the website. If you'd like to donate to them through our channel, please click on the banner to donate through Twitch, and it'll take you to the page and everything. What can you do with your donations? Well, for any amount, you can add to our spell bank. As you may have heard earlier, we're currently at a level 7 spell, Teleport. Very good. But yeah, basically at every $100 increment, with the exception of 9th level, it's level 1, 100, level 2, 200, so on and so forth. The 9th spell takes 1,000. For $1, you can give a player D10 healing dice. It can be used as a free action, 1 per turn. $2, give a player an advantage they can use on any roll that's not death saves. For $3, a D12 Bardic Inspiration dice. Again, anything but death saves. $5, give a player a luck dice. It's a mulligan on damage, or 2 attack, or saves, whatever you want, except for death saves. I say that a lot. $10, give a party member a random potion from the Party Punch Bowl. Fun shenanigans. And for $25, donate an action surge. We can all pretend to be fighters briefly, but please don't feel pressure to donate. You can also do things like share us on social media, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know how to use, but that's a thing people tell me it works. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed the show. And I was in luck, and by luck I mean Good Guy isn't back. There we go. All right, your charity time.
My charity. All right. So, as you all may notice, I might be lacking something around here. It is my hair. It has recently been cut off and shaven and cleaned up. And since I kept my hair in good maintenance, didn't dye it, yada, 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 it was cut up, put into a plait, and sent off to a charity called Little Princess's Trust, or Princess Trust, which is a charity that creates and gives out wigs to cancer patients, mainly young girls who may not have the privilege of having hair because of therapy and the likes that cause hair loss. And their role is to be able to bring that to the patients and make them a bit more happier about having hair. And, because long hair is hard to come by, making wigs is very difficult, and if you can have real hair is a big benefit to wig makers because you can preserve that stuff and it works a lot better than the fake plastic stuff.
Sounds great. Do you have a website you can
I
stick in
do.
the chat?
I will throw that into the chat as soon as I can get it up.
And also, did you have a recommendation of any kind today, or is charity essentially your recommendation, which is totally fine?
That is my recommendation today because I've been very busy this week. Haven't had time to read.
Yes, Jay, you had a thing.
I have a recommendation, as everyone else is talking about charities and wonderful things like that. I have a recommendation for everyone to go support their local brewers.
I can support this.
And local craft beer distributors. There are lots of them out there. It's not like it's a crisis or anything, but a lot of places are getting bought up and basically absorbed or put out of business by a lot of the giant, huge conglomerates out there. And a lot of them basically, disguise the fact that they're a giant, huge conglomerate by giving, localized names to their brands. But if you can find some of your local breweries, this is a great time for it as we head into the fall season. I am drinking our good Tampa Bay brewing companies. This is Gourd's Gone Wild, which is their sort of fall beer. It is the equivalent of like a pumpkin-y beer. Yeah, I know, right? Gourd's Gone Wild. I love it. It is delicious. I need to stock up on it so I can have some for all of my friends. But it's a darker beer that I'm really enjoying. It's their pumpkin ale. And I know that Bird and you guys have Logboat.
Yes, Logboat Brewing just brewed a special beer for the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Festival. So we support our local breweries too often, I would say.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There is the other side of that, which is that I will say that most local breweries and craft beers do have are not low calorie or low carb.
Support responsibly.
Support responsibly.
This disclosure: we are not responsible to any harm that may come from supporting your local breweries.
Yes. But anyway, so
do record it because it's funny.
Not a paid promotion.
Not a paid promotion. But anyway, so back to you.
Back to me, and time for everybody's favorite segment.
The end of the break.
Time of the week. What do you call a bee that can't make up its mind?
What?
Maybe.
This is why I drink. Support your local breweries.
That hurt me because
Support
I guessed
your
it
local
before it even
brewery.
started, before you even
That was
answered.
so
I
great.
guessed it and it hurt.
Support your local.
Support your local brewery.
It hurt me.
People like this is why alcohol sells so well.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Also, I saw what you typed,
Missed
Bird. Can't get that past me.
Oh, yeah, that stung. That stung.
Oh, come on!
Oh. So bad. So bad.
This is Evil Universe, Bird.
It is.
I mean, totally not alternate Evil Universe, Bird.
Right. Anyway. So...
It's red.
We were montaging, I believe.
So, as you, were there any special things that y'all would like to try to do, or is it going to be just stay off the beaten path? It sounds like you want to try. You're going to use your dragon runes.
Well, we've got space, yeah.
Cool.
I think we try with the disguise kit to try and make everybody a little less.
I have Talia's Ballad to cast Disguise Person on folks, so do that. I'm guessing probably pop people in the ring, just to not
Do that too.
burn in case you can't disguise everybody. So just cut down on the total number of people who are traveling.
Cool.
Change outfits up a little bit too.
Yep. Alex was good.
What's that I hear? Shopping?
Wait, we're going back
Shopping?
into sojourns. No? I'll swap
Luna,
out my
could you
cloaks.
alterate my cloak?
You see Luna working on her own clothing
Oh.
currently.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Yeah, no, so I just look like a tabaxi merchant now.
Thank you, I'd really appreciate that. I'd like a shorter coat, please.
Who wants to look like a tabaxi?
And Celia's still pretty out of it, correct?
She's pretty out of it. She could be riding on a horse. You see Riley walk up to you, Axel, and be like, what should I do, Dad?
Right, so you want to put this on, and you can attune to it, and you can disguise yourself with it. You'll look like a tabaxi. Big one, I imagine. If you're okay with that.
Yeah. So I look like you?
Yeah, do you remember the big barbarian from the caravan? This is his cloak.
Oh. Okay. So kind of from our tribe.
Yeah.
Okay. And he puts it on. And he sort of sits there and thinks and lets it attune. And after about half an hour, he turns around, and you see it looks like his form shrinks down to the size of a tabaxi. And Axel, you're looking eye to eye with your son, a young looking tabaxi merchant with very similar coloration and markings as your own. Is it okay, Dad?
Yep, that's a solid disguise. And
he kind of looks and looks at his sort of furry hands, and he kind of turns around and goes, I have a tail.
It keeps getting... I don't know. I was going to say, I would say it takes getting used to, but I have not actually ever been without a tail, so...
And
it's as real as you... From what I can understand, it's pretty much real. Even though it's an illusion, it's pretty much real at this point.
He gives you a hug, and it's like hugging a smaller person. It's not like a normal illusion. This is like truly, it's a arcane mirage. The spell, the 7th level spell, but basically as though it were wrapped around a person. So it feels, you interact with it, it completely fools your brain. There's a way you can sort of somewhat, because you know it's there, know that you are actually hugging a much larger figure, but all of your senses are telling you that this is your tabaxi son.
All right. Yeah, that's works out. Just be careful with the other part of it. Don't go getting angry.
I don't think I've been angry. I'm not sure if I can get angry. I'll think about it.
Well, there's magic on the cloak that can make you angry and rage and all that stuff, and you don't... Yeah, I imagine he probably explained all the capabilities of the cloak, and once he tunes to it, he knows all the capabilities, so...
Yep.
Yeah, X is just warning him off, don't do that unless you're sure you're going to be okay with it.
Okay, I will rage responsibly.
That's my boy.
He sort of...
You're making your dad proud because you're already doing better and being responsible.
He runs over to Iska and goes, Iska, I have a tail.
Yes, you do. She will keep him entertained. I think, keep him upbeat and truly prove that this boy could never possibly get angry without magical help. Truly.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. It does look like a teenage Axel. Like there's even sort of like family resemblance because it is from the southern tribes. So, as you sort of see the two of them talking and side by side, your sort of bardic eye, it's
You know, it's that same kind of feeling that you talked about with Rion, the not actually, no tears form, but you get that glassy-eyed look. It's just, it's nice. It's, you know, that's what Riley's always been Axel's son, but like seeing that image is like really powerful.
And as you all gather your belongings, Celia has done disguise. One of the things that you notice, Celia begins, sort of pulls up a mirror, and she hasn't really looked at herself. There is a large white lock that now comes out of the front of her forehead. And at first she starts to cover it, and then she just sort of tucks it in and works it into her braid, this white shock of hair that runs now through her braid.
Yep.
Vidar? You're muted.
I like that.
Okay.
Looks nice.
Um,
Keepsake.
She just kind of looks at you. She looks exhausted, but you all go outside. You can see that Nate has mounted, gotten all the horses ready to go. And as you come walking out, you see Balshirian comes running up, and Grain is a little bit bigger than Balshirian right now still, but the two of them sort of trot alongside as you all make your way out through sort of the front gate and find yourself back in the copse of trees where the entrance to this was hidden, and turn southward.
I'm about the cat in the ring. I'm about Celia in the ring.
So you pop Celia in the ring, which, as you know, has restorative effects, so that will knock off 2 levels of exhaustion for the price of 1. Cat's inside, and you guys start heading south.
I'm a bamf Lyle in real quick. Put the ring in him, and then bamf it away.
It disappears.
Turn
And
3
Luna's
on.
just made sure to cover as much of her face as possible, so like completely around there and over, hair wrapped up and everything.
Yep. So yeah,
Axel's just gone sort of plain clothes because he's covered up the armor, he's covered up the cloak of the Eye of Eternity with sort of plainer stuff,
okay.
just to make himself less magic-y look.
Yeah, Luck,
He's
you're...
basically attempting to
And
look
still
like
got the battle axe.
Yep.
hired muscle, basically.
Yep. No, Luck and Luna can certainly sort of look bodyguardish, which is pretty normal for people traveling on the roads. I know, Luck, you didn't have very flashy clothes as it was, mainly blacks and grays after your transformation. So you all are able to sort of begin heading south. And Rion does sort of point you a little bit away. You can sort of see that there's the main road, and there does seem to be almost a sort of single track trail that is about 500 yards to the west that seems to be used enough, and certainly recently as people move to the conclave, people who are moving faster than the caravans, people who don't necessarily want to be on the main road, seem to have all but started to almost like cross the quad of your college campus that marks the direct line where the grass just don't grow no more. Axel, I at this point assume you're going to cast the Dragon Stride rune, and you start your casting, and then you feel that familiar weird displacement, that sort of, and it's almost like this stutter step that at first you see Balshirian, Nate, and Rian sort of not quite get it. It's almost like riding a horse even, until finally they sort of get into that rhythm of it, of that, for most, like, for every 2 steps you go 3 type idea. And it's that weird sort of stutter step that you all grown so accustomed to that within 15 minutes or so they get themselves accustomed to as well. So I'm going to go around as you have about 2 weeks on the road, staying off to the side through the Dragon Gust Plains. The first week through Dragon Stride. After that, we will take a break and sort of update you on where you are, as you all haven't been to the Dulcimer Riverlands before. But during that first week, let's just go right around. Luck, how do you spend this first week on the road? At night, you all are staying in the mansion, so you have the things that you need there. And how do you spend this week traveling south on the Dragon Gust Plains?
Mainly sort of in thought, sort of trying to compile a lot of it all in one place. Mainly keeping to himself, probably grabbing a drink every night. He does pull out sort of ask Axel for some paper every so often to sort of jot some stuff down, keep it with his handwriting.
As you do, you find a quiet companion. Nate seems to sort of gravitate towards your sort of both your stories and also just your not all of the craziness around. Rion joins in every once in a while, but it's Nate who sort of quickly becomes on the road your companion. It's a little jarring at first, as you knew Nate sort of as this sycophant, very kind of bootlickery kind of guy. And he is this very capable sort of woodsman type, very likes to do things manually, likes to take care of the horses himself. When cutting wood, often will make even a fire outside in the actual courtyard with real wood. There's just a practicality about Nate that he kind of finds his way to you, and with a non-intrusive hand, as he sees you practicing your writing, will step in and, as unobtrusively as possible, if you accept the help, sort of advances your teaching, not in a sort of a condescending way, but of a just that might have been a struggle for him as well to have learned to write. And will correct when sometimes you get an A backwards or whatever. What started as him just, as you had kind of repeatedly done a backwards letter, that he would sort of write it himself and just kind of put it all but like on a napkin and sort of slide it your way, and then eventually all but became lessons for the two of you. And just a sort of a quiet camaraderie. And about on the fourth night, he sort of looks to you and goes, I know magic, but it always has felt like a shortcut. There's just some things you should do with your own hands.
I can see its uses. I can see why people gravitate to it, but the things it's done, scares me.
It should. I am older than Rion. And while I'm his squire, I've seen more. I've watched the forces of corruption leak into what we're supposed to be the places of learning, the sanctuaries of knowledge, and twist them to their own devices. Magic can be a wondrous thing and useful. And the control of it, I think, is important. But you have to be very careful of who you hand those reins to.
It's all much bigger than I am. And now my companions I trust more than anything, but hell, even I'm using this stuff, but the more it's used and the more I see of it, the more unsure I become of the role that it plays. Is it a force that can change the entire world as we know it, or something that makes you tea?
Well, I think that's the heart of it. There's that battle between the everyday magic that just makes life easier, and then the magic that makes mansions, or fireballs, or horrors you can't even describe. It's complicated, and I think the answer is that no one person should be entrusted to make those decisions. There need to be the voices of knowledge, and he sort of motions a little bit over to Axel, and the voices of innovation and give it a try, give it a whirl. And he kind of looks at Vidar. But there's also places for people like me and you who ask but do we really need this? I think that's what's important. People to push the boundaries, but then also those of us who remind them, at the end of the day, we're all just flesh and blood. We just need to get through the day.
Right. That makes things a bit clearer.
I don't think it'll ever be clear, but don't blame yourself for having to use the tools that you use. And he sort of points to your pickaxe. To fight the fight against those who wield magic and wield power as though it is their God-given right, and that all others are beneath them. They'll try to twist you into thinking that since you use magic, that how could you possibly tell them not to? But that's not the way it works. It's just a way for them to justify their abuse of what they've discovered.
Right. I think I have more conviction for what must be done, what our group is going to do.
It is easy to see that you all are destined something for larger than I ever was. But big destinies need good men to make sure they don't go astray. He sort of slaps you on the shoulder and just kind of stands up and goes, I've got horses to tend to.
Good night.
Good night. Luna, how do you spend your first week out on the road?
She finishes mending all of her clothes and does in fact alter Vidar's cape. Other than that, I think she probably goes over that diagram of the sanctuary over and over again. She says it essentially has it as close to perfect memory, as close to memory as possible.
Yep. I was going to say roll with advantage, but the reality is that you have plenty of time, so we don't need to roll this unless you just want to throw your dice for a reason. Since you've got plenty of time, you study and look at this map of the cathedral over and over and over again, each night, taking time, each morning, when you get a chance, whenever it makes sense, sometimes even on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest things that you start to figure out and start to interest you is, from the map that, this main cathedral has actually been designed more of almost a theater, or was in fact the theater of the old school before they took it over. And, they've ripped out a lot of the theatrical, prosceniums and that sort of thing to have those high vaulted roofs that you see. But many of the other things are still there. You also know from Brother Anthony that, they are using arcane means to simulate a lot of divine magic. And so the biggest thing you sort of narrow down to of things that the map can show you a lot of, but it can't show you everything. The big things that you need to find more about, you need to get better eyes on the main cathedral. What all is going to be a part of that, and how exactly that's laid out, and more importantly, how people are positioned in it. You have a general layout of it, but your trained monk instincts and just for strategy, even some of your skills as a courtesan of having to figure out how to work a room, get you to think about where people might be, how they're going to move around this space, and what's going to be the best ways to get in there. The other big piece of this is sort of the old schoolrooms and dormitory that are attached to the main sort of cathedral space, which is, the rectory, where the people stay and live. It is a multi-story sort of complex of buildings, much like college campuses, sort of in a quad, different buildings all around, a couple different small courtyards involved. In this whole rectory area, you get the idea that certainly for the showmanship of the cathedral, people are going to be able to move in and out of the rectory to the cathedral unseen. So again, another place that you're going to want to, again, get eyes on and figure out exactly how it works together in the architecture is this rectory area. The final place that you have the least amount of information on, but you feel as though is going to be important, is there is a tower that the architect had mentioned was right on the edge of the sort of where part of the school was flooding and basically sinking into the marsh that it's in back there in the delta of the Dulcimer Riverlands. And this flooded tower is adjacent to the cathedral and the rectory. He talked about how they were trying to rehab it, but that he felt the work hadn't completed even in his time there because it just tower kept sinking basically, and it keeps standing out to you that if that tower could be a part of what needs to be done, or if it still stands even, could be another answer for gaining access to the cathedral, gaining access to the rectory, and potentially gaining access to these secret passages that lie around this whole complex of buildings that is the Cathedral of Purity. So you have the rectory, the main cathedral, and the flooded tower are sort of the three areas that really stand out in your mind as places to investigate further or to try to get better information on to plan your activities around the Cathedral of Purity when you arrive.
Okay.
Cool. Iska.
This week, I know what she wants to do, and I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. A long, long time ago, when she was recovering in the ring, after all the revelations came to light about her connection to the threads of fate, the Tusky Isles, all of this, she retreated to the ring and, using its creation magic, essentially formed this three-dimensional painting to represent all these threads of fate and the sisters above her and herself in the middle. I don't want to necessarily return to the ring right now. I think maybe back to the sketchbook for this, but after what happened with Rian and Balshirian, after fundamentally changing the course of the universe kind of on accident and having no real understanding of what was going to happen, I think it's time to stop just doing stuff to do it. She wants to rely on every vision she's had of the threads, of fate itself. She wants to rely on that vivid, almost photographic memory. And if you start putting, pencil to paper to recreate some of the things she's seen, but if she truly is going to delve back in again, the risk of doing something like that again is monumental. She needs to start understanding what she's affecting, who she's affecting, and how they're being affected. If it truly is her job one day to step in and help guide those threads, cut those threads, reweave those threads, she's got to figure out what she's actually doing.
Okay.
I can't rely on instinct forever.
Do me a performance check. On a dirty 20. As you start to draw in your sketchbook, and you remember that white room in the ring that you were just sort of throwing paint and shapes, and things emerged and your focus would change, and then you would take splatters and connect them together to become pictures and shapes and people. You find yourself, your drawings, and you're hatching in drawings in your sketchbook and making these sort of long shading lines. And you start to find that in different areas of your sketches where you've hatched shadows in and done crosses and crosshatches and written over things and then drawn on them again. In those intersections and in those lines, you begin to see music, notes, little sections of songs that the strings of fate, that fatescape you saw, was made up of lines, but the lives of those people were made up of notes written on those lines. And the way they cross and intersect becomes the music of fate. That perhaps fate is not a tapestry as much as it's a score, a song for you to learn. And as you go over your visions and the words, the people, the places, you think back to that song you sang with your father. You think back to the song that you sang with Astra. The very chord of fate that you composed for Gandry. And it wasn't strings like threads that you were pulling on or cutting. They were strings that you were playing, like on your violin. And while you don't know that whole song yet, that realization, and with Iska's determination, you also know it's a song you can learn. Axel.
All right. So over the week, he's sort of spreading himself all over the place a bit. He's making sure that, Riley stays up on practice, gets writing practice in. Although let's try, there's been plenty of time with Ashran. Rest of the time, he's sort of, whenever Rian's willing to, he'll hang out and either pick a room, particularly ones he's studying, Gate or Trickster, at this, and the other ones I can't even remember, and maybe try and study them together, go over them together, or if again do talk on either spells or just theories of magic. But when people are willing to hang around, he's always willing to pull out his notes and just talk theories.
Right.
Most of the times. And that will be what he's working on, just studying and learning.
So,
his downtimes.
Couple things. First thing, do me another Arcana check, if you will. Actually, we're going to get with advantage with this one because you have either way. But as you recognize that the thing that was going on in the back of your mind, back in the house, as you were drinking that cold beer, and as you can't help but notice every day, day one, it was Balshirian, smaller than grain. By day 3, Balshirian was basically up to everyone's waist, and starting to look people in the eye. That his back was about at people's waist and was looking at people in the eye. By day 7 of this first week, Balshirian is beginning to get to that size, not quite the size of a horse, but still a small pony type idea, as it does seem that every night he does seem to curl up with Riley. And as you are just marveling at that, and again, of all silly things, the trickster rune sort of keeps coming to mind. It's almost like you can't get it out of your mind, and suddenly it just sort of all breaks through, and you will find the unlocked trickster rune within your runes now. And for what it truly means. So there.
Okay.
As you watch your son play with this ever-growing griffin that first he used to, could throw around, and now literally this juggernaut runeborn is now having a good challenge wrestling with him. You actually have been able to notice Riley himself sort of seemed to become more sturdy even. He was tall before, but it's almost as though his frame is filling out. It's as though Balshirian and Riley are sort of, in a way, training each other. Balshirian practicing more and more at night. The actual footprint, the ground floor of the mansion has actually gotten smaller and smaller. You've all kind of noticed your rooms getting a little smaller and a little closer together, because it now has a much higher vertical height outside, as it can be arranged in any format of the number of cubics that it can take up. And at night, Balshirian has been practiced flying, as it is in a separate little dimensional space, and has now started off much to the cat's chagrin that he would swoop down and pick up the cat and carry the cat around for extra weight, is now able to even hold Riley aloft for a short time, strengthening its wings. But as you watch those and often enjoy a chilled beer, you are able to unlock the Enigma Room. You're welcome to share it with people what it does or not, or save it for
how to be
surprise.
a dick to people.
It's totally how to be a dick to people. It is 100%.
The
You
power.
were going to drink that frozen. Oh, you were going to pick that up. It's bigger than you. I'm gonna do that to the prostrate. Good fun. Okay.
Yes. I had to have the magic's for fun too.
Why don't
Yep.
you do this to my tree?
You'll be fine, right? All right.
And you all still work in the first week. You don't on the 18. You don't unlock anything super big, but you have Rian trying to help you out with a spell or two, things that he is adept at, that he's able to try to relay to you, things that might need to become in handy. He's trying to help you unlock a way to modify folks' memories, as you all tend to make an impression. He is attempting to help you out, potentially, with being able to do that.
All right.
because I claim you don't have that already. No, you do not. Good.
I think so.
Vidar, this first week.
Vidar's gonna, over the course of each night, he's gonna spend a bit of time going between other members of the party. Like, he'll see if he can join Luck in a couple of drinks. He's gonna approach and talk to Luna, just asking about what her next move is. And just like notices going over the maps and just ask about it. Wherever he gets any insight on it, it's totally up to her. And the majority of his time is going to be spent. He's going to ask if there's a library, if he knows anything about a gold dragonborn or a gold sword by the name of the Burnished Star.
Rian looks to you and goes, unfortunately, while simple books I could reproduce, it's basically the only books that are available are things that I've actually read, and I wasn't much of a reader. But you say the Burnished Star.
Yes.
It reminds me of the god-awful history lessons I used to have to take in the academy. The southern continent, Rymera, it is plagued, or has been plagued over its years, by conflict. Much of that surrounds a worship of the sun, a sun cult that has been a part of their lives and seems to have spread much strife throughout their culture over the millennia. They say that even the Cyrodian Desert was once a sea, and that has dried up and become a desert because of the power of this sun god that they worship. They consider it proof of their existence.
That sounds like okay.
But
Thank you.
it is an ancient religion there. From the earliest written texts, there's scholars, I'm sure, who could tell you more about it, but unfortunately, I was not much of a scholar.
That's okay. I understand your situation completely. That's fine. Thank you. It just confirms. It does confirm a good deal to me that she's been here for a while then.
If the legends are to be believed.
Yeah. I'm gonna... You'll have to excuse me. I'm gonna have to go ponder on this. And Vidar's going to spend some time... What's the moon phase right now?
Ooh,
Over the
stand
course of
by.
a week.
The sad, crazy part is I actually know the real answer because I put it on the timeline.
Let's go spreadsheets.
Let's go spreadsheets.
Please be no moon. Please be no moon. Please be no moon.
Let's see. This week, over the course of the week, stand by. Ghost, die, travel Sawyerns, blah, 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 blah.
Stand by.
Something, TPK, something.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
something Dead Lantern, something Riley.
You are at about, let's see, Karen, that's the leaving. That's what you actually stand by. Huh. I didn't even look at this, but wow, that worked out really well, didn't it? Literally, the ritual to go into Florian's mind occurred on the new moon. So you're about 5 days out, or you basically. So the ritual occurred. The next day was the attack. So you're only a couple days out from the new moon. The new moon is past, but over the course of the week, you'll go from new moon, to whatever waxing.
And I'm able to exit freely from the mansion to go bathe in the moon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, again, the new moon, the darkness of the moon.
In the darkness of the moon, and that's what he wants. So he's going to spend some time just out in the darkness of the night, Lyle across his lap, ring in hand, and just dive mentally and whole solely into Lysifian, and deepen that connection with him. Try to understand more of his perspective of what his dogma was like,
So
beliefs were.
As you do that, yeah, you lay out on the Dragon Gust Plains, big sky country. So it's just this huge, dark sky with barely a sliver of the moon. And as you lay there and just talk with Lysithea just tells you story after story of the cosmos and what's beyond, and the places that Iskrin had been, that the lives they had lived, and the things that he's aware of his own life back before he was rescued. Again, a stowaway with Vidar and Ryan Talia, and just lost the name.
Von Malak?
Yeah, Von Malak. The Axe. Earth, Moon, and Sun. The three gods that he saved, that Iskrin saved. And just weaves those tales to you through the nights. And opens your mind to things that even Iskrin had forgotten or could not recall.
And finding these things out about him, and he's just gonna. What shall we do with Ryan Talia? Should we seal her away? Should we keep her locked up somewhere? Should we put her to rest? What should we do? Can't.
She is our sister, or mine. I don't know if she can be destroyed. I'm not sure if I'd want to if I could. But something needs to be done.
Do you reckon luck would be strong enough to wield her? That's a dangerous thought.
It is a dangerous thought. I believe he could wield her for a time, control her.
Yeah.
But I also believe her ability to corrupt is infinite. She is, or was, or from what your friend Rion said, maybe is again, a god or a demigod in her own right. She's been here much longer than we have, and if she's gathered followers, that means her power is growing again. It's why she might have been as powerful as she was. I question who was using who. Bati, I might have he thought he was in control, but it is very easy that Ryan Talia could have been using him all along.
That's what I'm scared about. That's what I worry about this gold dragonborn as well. It's like a fixation on it. They could be so entranced by this greatness and power that that's the leading to their corruption. It's dangerous.
Many a good person has been led astray by doing what they thought was right.
Amen to that.
Iskrin and I have run that path before.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest.
You experienced some of that back in the vineyard. Iskrin was not always a nice man. Elf.
Being. That's... Well, hopefully we can do the right thing. If her power is more widespread, then we're just gonna have to strengthen our bonding. I'm in this to the end. We'll board the last train. This is it. This is it.
I hope you don't mind. I did something without your permission.
I'm used to that by now. Am I? I don't know. What'd you do?
Little old magic.
Interesting. I'm curious.
There's a,
Don't tempt this young mind.
There's a very ugly silver tree that now grows in a copse of trees just west of Sojourn's Crossing. Looks almost like a coat rack seeded from the severed finger of a former Eladrin.
That I can't wait to come back to.
Figured give you a reason to live, not do something stupid with all that's to come.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it a try, but
Oh,
I'm very excited to see what happens when this is all done and over. This Death Wish of mine is going to be interesting once we get...
you have proven hard to kill, though.
These two, this latest burn mark is still quite tender.
There's a part of me that thinks that the only person who might be able to actually do you in is Celia.
If it's not going to be Celia, it's going to be myself. It's going to be some strange misfortune I bring on myself. I mean, if it's the Wrath of Luna, I'm fine with that. I've made my peace.
Luna would not be a bad person to die to.
Have you seen her punches? It's just... I swear the last time she punched me, she may have broken a rib.
You're lucky it was just a rib. Before my reforging, she probably could have broken me.
Yeah, that's true. One thing I am curious about. And he pulls out the astrosphere. Something... I don't know, something irks me in the back of my mind. He did something with this when he was before going into device. been driving me mad for a while. I don't know what it is he did. But it's like, when I look at this, I stare at a broken mirror. It's like there's something telling me that that form saw something, but couldn't comprehend. I don't know what it was, but
there's a lot out there. And Iskrin's mind was shattered, at best, from all he had seen. There are secrets within that sphere still. They will reveal themselves in due time. If anything I've learned about this little group of yours, knowledge arrives right when it's needed.
And here I thought I was going to dive into it tonight, but that's something we can wait for. He puts away.
So did I ever tell you about the time when Iskrin owned a zoo? And he goes on to tell you a long tale.
And by that point, it's morning.
Yeah.
We bought a zoo starring Iskrin.
Yeah. So,
A celestial zoo.
it's the end of the first week comes to a close. You all crest one of the last rises of the Dragon Ghost Plains. And you find yourselves looking down over a whole new landscape that you haven't seen before. As before you, this vast Riverlands stretches out. Where before it was just these hills of grain, you now see passing through and around the hills and across this sort of flat, green, verdant landscape, these shimmering rivers of light as the sun rises over them. And Iska, you'll recognize this as your home. This is the Dulcimer Riverlands. There is sounds and sights that surround you. The calls of wildlife and wild birds, insects buzzing around, the rushing water. There are trees, willows that let their long branches drift down into the waters below. Across the landscape, even from this high, off in the distance, you can see the many bridges that have been built in order to traverse this area. Flowers, as it is all but the height of summer, are blooming everywhere. And as a breeze comes up and blows across y'all's faces, this time, instead of being at your back, as it's been off the Dragon Ghost Plains, from in front of you, off of these Riverlands, these beautiful smells of summer flowers hit your noses, and its name becomes clear to you, because this whole place is filled with music and light and life, and it's easy to see how this was in fact a place where someone like Iska could have called home, as much of her personality is so similar to this. Last time you were here, Iska, it was heading north on a new adventure, having signed up with this exciting caravan that was going to take you on adventures. There was these great dogs that they had that you got to pet and sleep with and play fetch with. And while it was sad to leave, your mother had been cured, and you had just a short contract in order to pay for the cleric who had healed her. What is it like for Iska to be back?
Weird. This grand adventure that she hoped to go on, this big exciting task and quest that she hoped to find, was supposed to let her see the rest of the world, to explore every facet of it, and really dive deep into areas and cultures unfamiliar to her. And now it seems to be concluding the same place she started. So it's a little weird to kind of leave your hometown thinking there's a story out there, and understanding that the climax of it is going to take place just steps away from where you are when you started.
So you all head down across the Dulcimer Riverlands. Totally foreign to people like Luck, who has lived in the mountains their whole life. Luna, who lived by the sea, to see this amount of water and so many flowing streams and ponds. I don't know. How does Luna react seeing just almost a 50-50 split between land and water in this place? It's as though the every river and stream is like a road, a pathway, instead of necessarily everything being land-based. You see people as you travel over the first couple of days, using these real shallow skivs and poling themselves down the rivers instead of traveling on the roads.
Luna is smiling, but only because nobody can see it. It's covered up.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing people would notice is that, she hasn't done it in a while, but, like, the little globe of water that she normally formed just kind of, like, bobbing by her head. She's not holding it, but it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
That's about the only external difference.
Gotcha.
She is happy, but no one must know.
Gotcha. So you all travel across these Dulcimer Riverlands. There are people to trade with along the ways. Often you do have to sort of merge somewhat with the road, just because there's only one way across unless you plan on swimming in many places. And
is swimming an option?
Swimming is absolutely an option. If Luna would like to swim, or to you can go, and certainly making ice bridges is a possibility. So that's a good question. You don't have to merge.
Swim because we're supposed to be low key. Now she's disappointed. The globe is dropping small droplets.
Her own little personal rainstorm.
Putting her smile away and getting on with the day.
Yep. Luck, the ground isn't ground here. Everything is soft. It seems to be mushy, unless you're on the road. But I mean, you're used to, mining and granite and hard roads and hard packed earth. And that is not this. In fact, it seems like some of these islands like move. Like when you step on them, they kind of like, it's like being on a boat.
Are you sure this is ground? Doesn't feel like it. Iska, how do you deal with this?
Just tread lightly, a bit, delicate, with some dexterity, with some regard. Really think of your movement, Luck. Like a dance, almost, here.
He takes a step and just...
Yep, okay. She'll come over and wait him out of there.
He sinks up all the way up to his knee very quickly, because there are places where there's actually ground in the ground, but this isn't one of them. But as you are going across, you actually find Luck. You find that you and Balshirian are having much of the same problem, as he has now grown to pretty much be, your head is at about his shoulder height, and so Riley has taken to actually riding on Balshirian a little bit, as well as has Rian, to help build up his muscles. You do catch a few glances with this very large griffin, as he is, easy to notice, pretty much, and all the things. So, Balshirian is now a thing, for sure.
Jay,
Yes,
I know we can't fly in this world.
you cannot.
Does levitating count as flying?
It does.
Damn it. All right, sorry, Luck. I was going to try to just hover you like 6 inches above the ground. But
And you can certainly try if you'd like.
Luck has
Think back-
already tried flying once. We're not doing
I've been back
anything.
and forth with Jay for this for a long time. I'm very sad about levitating.
Yeah.
Not levitating.
You also be even more embarrassed and just sit on a floating disc, wandering behind, just floating behind Axel.
Yeah. So yes, the floating disc works because it does. Levitation has the ability
It's-
to go high. Floating disc is
Yeah, and it's just like you sit on it. It's not actually meant for personal transportation.
so. But
I think Ishkan crashed around these Riverlands when he tried to go through the vice.
actually, you did crash around these Riverlands when you got thrown out of the vice like a bowling ball.
I wonder if we can find his crater.
With the soft ground and over after the last the last year of rains, probably not.
Probably a pond by now.
Yeah, it's
Probably been quite a bit longer.
definitely been a pond by now. But you guys are able to make it across here. A few interesting things happen, unless people have specifics that they want to ways they want to interact with folks. On about day 5 in the Riverlands, Axel, Cilia comes up to you. She seems to have a slight limp. It is in the morning, and y'all are sitting in the mansion around the table. And she comes up to you, and there plops in front of you a bag that kind of lands with kind of a splop on the ground. It is dark colored. And she goes, I don't know if these will be of use to you. There's the old seer in my village where I grew up said things like this could be powerful.
He'll look into the bag.
You find 24 fingers and 6 thumbs. The knuckle bones of doomed men, right?
I've not personally used them myself.
There's 3 tongues in there as well.
I have not used tongues either.
I just figured with the hand, I don't know.
I mean, thanks for the thought, but I mean, perhaps it's got use. I imagine in several ways it probably does, but not for me. Not from what I can use. There might be something. Thank you, though.
Oh, I didn't kill them.
I wouldn't mind. But
I didn't kill them.
They had a message to take back for me. It's carved in their chest since they can't talk or write.
oh, you found. Ah. Did you actually deal with the assassins then?
Oh.
Or is this something entirely different?
Oh no, this is... I just let them know there's a new ghost in town. And she just turns on her heel and walks
Sneaky.
out.
Does it smell?
I'm sorry?
Does it smell?
Not so much, actually. I mean, they are fairly fresh.
All right, cool. Things don't decay in the bag of holding, do they?
They do eventually. They decay less.
Yeah.
If you, how closely you want to examine these?
He's not going to closely examine them, no.
Okay.
But he's going to put them away because
just like,
he needs to go through what he can do and see if there's actually any use for any of these parts.
Do me an Arcana check. And yes,
He's a
that
little
actually,
disturbed.
Jeanette actually sent me what she would do. So that
I know
is
this
is Jeanette.
29.
On a 29, there is. You start to wonder because you've been trying to piece things together in your mind, and this might as well be as good. We'll use the 29 for this. It's on that same morning that she drops these off that you had just gotten your last bit of inspiration as you've been working literally now for 10 days on the gate rune. And as she drops these in front of you, you had just figured out your part of the gate rune, but you were wondering about one of the components. And knowing what Cilia has done in the past, there's just a bit of a question across your mind. You should have that in your book now. And so you do actually go back and examine these fingers. Roll me a investigation check.
Investigation.
Oh, the
Yeah,
28, of course.
that's a crit.
Of course you, that 28. Which is, you know, I love when the dice do what I want them to do. About 10 of them, the bones are infused with void magic.
Bones, so I could actually just do the horrible task of removing the flesh and getting rid of it.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
Yes, that's fine. It's fine. There's no problem with that at all. But it's good
Make
to
some
know.
flesh golems. It'll be fun.
Yep, so
Sorry.
those bones now would fit what you would potentially need. I claim. Wait a second. Oh, that's not that one, for a different one. But yes, you might need these later.
For more stuff.
For more stuff.
But, I mean, it's all linked, right?
Yes, it's all linked.
Death and horrible things. Okay.
Cool. So, on about the 5th day, day after Axel gets his bag of fingers and thumbs. Yeah,
Hey.
she was like, so they could never hold a dagger again. They never could say who we are, where we're from, or where we went, or write it down. So I cut all of their fingers off and thumbs, and cut their tongues out.
That's mean.
She was not pleased with those assassins. She was like, "Oh, Cilia would absolutely do every bit of
You
this."
know there's magic that can fix that, right?
She knows that it will take at least a regeneration spell, and
Yeah.
knowing the Obsidian Order, yeah, they're probably not going to use that on those folks.
Nah. Fair enough, yeah.
Anyway,
Cool.
so, on that 6th day, it is time, Luna will see by her maps, to part ways with Florian, with Rianne and Nate, and to strike out actually across the Dulcimer Riverlands, because you know about 3 days' journey to the west of here, maybe 4, depending on how stealthy you want to go, lies the Cathedral of Purity, and whatever may lie in wait for you there. Any last goodbyes to Rian and the gang? Nate basically just comes and gives Luck a pat on the back, wishes you luck, shakes your hand.
Yeah, gives a big shake back. Stay safe. Stay safe out there.
Yep. Do me another Arcana check for me, Axel.
Cool.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Luck. I just completely forgot about something. On a 25, you do get modified memory, and that you can add to your spell book. Back to you, Luck. So
does it cost me?
no, because you learned. Actually, yes, it will cost you still paper and ink.
Scribing. Yeah, that's
yeah,
cool.
But not anything else. And you've got your book that makes it half cost and all that stuff. So yeah, Nate just sort of slaps you on the back and shakes your hand and try to keep these people anchored.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yourself as well. I have my hands filled with him, and he looks over to Rian.
Yeah, before we depart, I'll try to find a moment when maybe Rian is with Valshirian.
Okay.
And just kind of approach the two of them.
Yeah, you see, and literally it is, Rian's hands up this high, on Balshirian's shoulder, as Balshirian is all but full grown. Not quite as big as how you remember him, but certainly not far away.
She'll walk up opposite side of Balsh and just kind of stroke his chest because of how big he is now.
Yeah.
Just kind of a smile before dropping the smile and looking a little bit more serious and kind of eyes to one then to the other and just very resolutely stating it's been a long time, but you're finally here. It's time to take it back. And she'll just kind of look wistfully upwards and out across the Dulcimer Riverlands.
And it is big sky country. You can see it. And they both look at you in your eyes. Rian's hand, and Balshirian turns that big avian head to you in those blue feathers. When you call, we will come. They cannot have it any longer. And as you see that conviction in their eyes, you feel that bond that you had with them before reconnect and connect you to Florian and Balshirian. We will soar the skies together one day, Iskatal.
Smile, a nod. She'll return to the group.
Riley seems to be sort of pushes his head into Balshirian. He's totally not crying, but to say goodbye, gives a big giant hug, and even in this sort of smaller tabaxi form, from the cloak that he's wearing, comes over and just sort of leans up against Axel and goes,
You'll see him soon, eventually.
"Yep."
You stay safe.
Uh,
Well, I always had food in my mouth. You two stay safe, or I will. Yeah.
They,
What, you're gonna raid?
Rian looks at you
Strong
weird.
threat. Strong threat.
Looks at you weird, then looks at Iska, and then looks at you even weirder. Of the what all can this tabaxi do? Apparently, I've been written out of existence once.
Be afraid.
Yeah,
Second time's gonna be twice as
That was Iska.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
I can message you. If you need to, you can message us.
Yes.
Keep in contact. If anything, if you need help, call first. We're gonna. I don't know how long we'll be taking, but we'll catch up, I guess.
Well, there's only about a week and a half till the conclave, so don't be too long, or you'll miss it.
if you beat us to Mad Madam Mim, let her know that the Forged Eclipse and the Bumbling Aladdin would like to have a message.
I'm sure we'll cross paths. I will leave it to you to tell her your tale, but last time she saw me, I had a horse named Balshirian, and he sort of pats Griffin Balshirian on the shoulder. So there'll be questions. She might
Just,
already know the answers.
I wouldn't be surprised. She's much powerful Aladdin than I was. Much powerful.
Yes, she is a mysterious one.
Ask her if the scales are ready and send us a message. If that's okay.
There's a lot of things that you can ask her, but how nice do you? I'll let you know later. Private message later. Okay, Rian? Right?
I await whatever you have to tell me. Yeah, you
It's meant
and
to
your
be a secret,
son.
so
Yes, you and your son stay safe. He is quite rare, and there are many people who would want to take him apart to see what makes him tick.
yeah, then it's not gonna happen. We'll be fine.
I figured not. Safe travels to all of you. And
Yours.
Last thing.
yes,
Okay. Luna will look at Rian, for a long while and say, if you ever have the urge to design a brooch, don't. Your taste is terrible. And walk off.
he kind of looks at you questioningly and goes, all right then, I won't. I've been working on that for so long,
I
too.
remember. I'm a good manager. I remember.
And so you guys part ways, and you see the silhouette of Balshirian, Rian, and Nate on his horse head down the road towards the conclave as you split off and head out across the Dulcimer Riverlands. And with that, that is where we will wrap up our session for today, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed our story. We're going to go around the room real quick. We're going to go Dragons, Templar, Bird, Alicia, then Good Guy. I will be right back because I had that beer, and I'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. I am Dragons of Cats, and I was playing Vidal Lycran, and I hope you enjoyed the show tonight, or today, or whatever time zone you're at. But you can find me on the interwebs as Dragons of Cats on the Twitch and the Twitters. I do a D&D game on Monday and Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so that's like crazy early for the rest of the world. Anyway, had a wonderful game. It was a good sesh. Didn't die. Didn't nearly die. Very happy about it. Over to Templar.
Hello, I am Templar Warden. I am playing the Tabaxi Wizard Hidden by Axel, who is not a lich and did not just threaten somebody with raising them as undead and killing them again. And does not have a bag of finger bones. This is all fine. You may find me anywhere on the internet as Templar Warden. You may find me on Twitter at Reina Templar, and you may find all of us, of course, in the Vice Discord, where we chat. There's updates, announcements, and all that sort of stuff. So I'll put that in chat, and then.
Me?
It was
Is that
you.
me?
Yep. It was
All right. Hey, I'm Bird vs. Plane. I was playing Iskatol. You can find me everywhere on the internet as Bird vs. Plane, including Twitter and on Twitch. Someday, again, hopefully sooner rather than later. Got a big move planned, and after that move happens, my life gets so much easier. So after November 1, I hope to be back to regularly streaming again. On to Alicia.
Yes, correct. Hey, I'm NNG9 on Twitch, where I currently mostly stream Slay the Spire. So if you like watching that, there we go. I'm NNG98 on Twitter. I tweet things, slowly becoming mostly just snake pictures. Yeah. Tons. Good Guy Pie.
Hi everyone, I'm Good Guy Pie. You can find me on Good Guy Pie on the Twitch when I do stream. I've got a lot of paperwork I've been dealing with recently, so once that's out of the way, I promise I'll be back on this Twitch streams with a horror game. I really do promise. And you can find me on Too Good To Guy on the Twitters, where I occasionally post things and retweet stuff that you may find entertaining or useful.
And I am Tall Squall. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. Hope you all enjoyed our story. We are going to go and probably raid somebody because I need to click the buttons to do such a thing. I will probably be on a little bit later on this evening, if not this evening, tomorrow morning, playing some WoW. And we will be doing all those fun things. We'll be back here next week. We still will be missing Jeanette as she is off on a cruise. But yeah, the rest of us will be here, and the Cathedral of Purity awaits. So that is going to start getting exciting really quick. Because woohoo! And in the meantime, we are going to go raid Ascension Stories. Join us over there. Throw a flex in the chat if you got one. And until next time, gather your friends together and tell a story, because that is what it's all about. Thank you, everyone. Good night.